What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Now, back during the Monday Night War, WCW fans had fun with DYNAMITE by bringing Vince fears rating signs to episodes of Nitro. But now, 25 years later, some fans are wondering, does Vince fear AEW? Well, join us now while Wrestlelamia explains why he does indeed fear All Elite Wrestling. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, for one thing, perception is reality. Now, Vince McMahon is a believer in saying that perception is reality, the idea that what people perceive to be true is more important than what is true. Anyone who's followed Vince McMahon's career can see it's a saying he's lived by and built the WWE on. For decades, the WWE has been seen as synonymous with wrestling, something Mr. McMahon has worked hard to instill in the popular conscience throughout things ranging from his insistence on terms that distinguish the WWE from other promotions, such as calling his wrestlers superstars, or using celebrities to make wrestling, i.e. the WWE, look cool. This dates back to the 1980s, when the success of WrestleMania and Saturday Night's Main Event created the perception amongst the general public that wrestling and the WWF were synonymous. Even when WCW was destroying Vince in the ratings, wrestling still equaled the WWF, such as when the news reporters commented on something violent and over the top. In a wild brawl at a football game, they would shout sometimes, "That's something out of the WWF." Now, fans can argue that AEW's increased ratings, particularly in the key demographics and the ever-growing pay-per-view buy rates, are reason enough for Mr. McMahon to fear AEW. However, this misses the point behind McMahon's fears. Vince fears AEW because the promotion has changed the public's perception of wrestling, something that we believe keeps McMahon up late at night. Well, at least later than usual, as the man is known for his disdain for sleep. But let's look at the first reason why, as number one, WWE fans have lost faith. The WWE Universe has been disgruntled with the product for many years, something the WWE has occasionally acknowledged, with Mr. McMahon promising to make changes and quickly abandoning even the illusion of change. While this is speculation, the case can be made that the WWE Kingpin has always felt he knows what's best for the fans, and any fan issues with the WWE product were minimal at best. However, AEW's success in getting a cable network deal along with a lengthy contract extension are a reminder that there is a growing number of fans who are tired of the WWE product. Vince can no longer ignore the fans' perception that the WWE has been coming up short creatively, and that the fans know there is a major alternative to the WWE. Unfortunately for Vince, this perception isn't limited to wrestling fans. As number two, mainstream publicity has changed. The mainstream publicity game has changed now, and while it's safe to say that traditional media still sees the WWE as synonymous with wrestling, that's not so on social media, where AEW has trended on numerous occasions, letting people besides wrestling fans know that there is a new player in town. AEW's recent debut of CM Punk, as well as its all-out pay-per-view, have lit up social media, so much so that it's created a side effect of Mr. McMahon trending as well, as fans mocked him for letting CM Punk, Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole get away and head to AEW. People are talking about wrestling, and it's no longer just about WWE, well, at least online. Number three, Vince's corporate sponsors see the WWE as a hot mess. The WWE gets billions of dollars from the USA Network and Fox for providing both networks with the rights to air WWE content, so when ratings go down, executives wonder what's going on. Now, in all fairness, the WWE has done a good job pulling in impressive ratings for Raw and SmackDown, despite the overall numbers dropping, a situation which has happened to most shows thanks to the proliferation of programming choices on traditional TV and streaming services. However, both the USA Network and Fox have expressed concern about both programs' ratings, particularly when Major League sports like football air during the fall. The WWE typically can make some minor cosmetic changes, such as Raw Underground or the 24/7 Champion, that satisfies executives who are unaware of the inner workings of the business, much like the WWE has done with stockholders for years. That has changed recently, with reports of executives being upset with the WWE failing to keep Bray Wyatt and Bryan Danielson, as well as allowing CM Punk to head over to AEW. a situation which the WWE actually had no control over, as it's unlikely Punk would have ever returned to the WWE, although it was confirmed that he was talking with them at the time. But now Vince has to be concerned that both networks' executives have smartened up about the business and perceive that AEW poses a threat to the WWE's dominance. Not only does AEW seem to pose a threat, but there's the added perception of whether Vinnie Mac can deal with it. Number 4, his reputation is fading. Vince McMahon is a wrestling genius. It's hard to argue with this sentiment when you look at the empire McMahon has not only built but grown and sustained throughout the last 40 years or so. However, AEW's major moves are creating the perception that McMahon no longer has that Midas touch when it comes to wrestling, and that the major mistakes of ventures like the XFL, WWF New York and other flops are now being made in Vince's wheelhouse, sports entertainment. Now remember, we aren't going by the reality of WWE, which continues to do well in the ratings, merchandise and pay-per-view numbers, but by what McMahon sees as people's perception. Right now, Vince looks like he doesn't have a clue how to keep some of his top players or bring back big names. AEW's recent signings, along with the addition of Rampage and side ventures like Cody and Brandy's reality show, has to have Vince second-guessing himself. Number 5, Vince's perception of himself. As we've seen, Vince's reasons for fearing AEW are largely due to how AEW is perceived and how the WWE is currently perceived. It's important to remind people that the reality is different than the perception. The WWE is currently doing both well in its stock prices, its cash reserves, and its continued expansion. Nonetheless, as long as Vince feels people are ignoring this, he has to be both worried and fearful about AEW. It also means it's likely Vince is second-guessing himself. As 5 years of Raw and SmackDown, at least until Roman Reigns' heel turn, show that when Mr. McMahon second guesses things, he's going into micromanagement mode, ripping up scripts at the last minute, cancelling pushes and scrapping popular storylines. These mercurial moves have been due to Vince McMahon's perception that people around him don't understand the business. What insane moves might Vince McMahon make if he no longer has confidence in the old McMahon magic? Therein lies the potential for disaster and the WWE Renaissance. Now, we've seen the perceptions that have made Mr. McMahon fear AEW, but there's a perception that could give the WWE the power-up it needs. Many WWE critics have argued that the WWE's creative issues are due to Vince's belief that he still knows what the fans want. This is a misperception that has hurt the WWE and led to McMahon getting rid of anyone who disagrees with him. However, what if McMahon had an epiphany that he's lost touch with what works and doesn't work in wrestling? McMahon's realization that his self-perception is flawed could lead to McMahon listening to others with fresh ideas and even listening to the fans in terms of who should be pushed. If Vince McMahon can shatter his false perception that he is the alpha and omega of wrestling, he could turn things around and shake his fear of AEW. But should McMahon be afraid? As we'll see, Vince McMahon is watching helplessly, at least helplessly for now, as Mr. McMahon's survival instincts are so legendary he puts alien xenomorphs and cockroaches to shame. The man survived a federal criminal trial as well as what looked to be a certain defeat at the hands of WCW. While Vince McMahon should be concerned that a national promotion is gaining ground, the reality is that the WWE has a large lead on AEW in terms of infrastructure, brand recognition and cash reserves. But that doesn't mean they should ignore AEW. However, AEW has a long way to go before it establishes itself as a long-term success. For now, Vince McMahon needs to understand why he fears AEW and how perception holds up against reality. From there, he can decide what changes, if any, he needs to make in order to remind everyone, including himself, that the WWE is still the biggest game in town. But in the meantime, Tony Khan has assembled his dream team of wrestling with the latest additions of CM Punk, Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, and fans can't rule out Bray Wyatt once his non-compete clause ends around Halloween. The question now is whether he can build something off his collection of talent or if AEW will become a footnote in history, much like the Vince fears rating signs and WCW itself. But there you have it, guys. Why Vince fears AEW? Do you think Vince has anything to fear? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.